So I have a question for you to start out with this morning, and that is, what do you think would happen if you began to consider the universe as just being you instead of you and everything else? How would you see the world? Well, truth is this: you are actually what is. You already are that. And as you begin to see your life that way, the idea of separation immediately dissolves when you have that realization of oneness. Because in truth, there's nothing that's not you, so there's not anything you can ever be separated from. We truly are all one, made of the same stuff, come from the same place. You already are that which you seek. So what I'm saying is, if you're seeking enlightenment, you already are that. You've just forgotten. We do that. And what happens when we are in that mode of seeking is that our efforts to experience enlightenment reinforces the idea of being separate. Does that make sense? And then in turn that triggers more struggling, because we're searching, we're looking, we're trying to find. And again, that's reinforcing that idea of separation. Our logical mind has a difficult time understanding, expressing, and really realizing the idea of oneness. Now, you all know I love them. And what they say is that the greatest obstacle to enlightenment is getting past your belief that you are not already enlightened. We think we have to go outside of ourselves to find that. And that isn't the truth. Good news, right? So then we have to figure out how we accept and understand that concept, that we are already enlightened. Well, first and foremost, we want to let go of our ego's desire to want to logically figure it out, because that's not going to happen. Our rational mind is not ever going to be enlightened. And how many of us spend a ridiculous amount of time in our logical mind? Instead, we want to simply trust in the willingness of our heart to be reminded of that something that we've known all along. The idea that we are one with all that is, and so is everyone else. We forget who we are, and then we're reminded, and then we forget. That is part of the process of being human. That is one reason that we come together in community, to be reminded of that. And this universal truth has been found in spiritual literature of all the great cultures around the world and throughout the ages. So I'm going to invite you to take just a moment with me and contemplate who you think you are. Are you your name? Are you your body? Are you your thoughts or your feelings? Oh, are you what you do? The truth is, we're so much more than all of those things. Who we are behind those earthly ideas, that's what we want to know. Who am I? The eternal question, right? I have some really great news, because attaining enlightenment is really simple. All you have to do is stop all conscious thought in your mind. And then that experience will surface. It's that easy. I mean, really. I didn't say it was easy though, did I? I originally said it was simple. And it is a simple idea. It truly is possible for us to live an enlightened life, of that all-embracing love, of that compassionate service, of that absolute freedom. And we do that by letting go of our ego tendencies. Now, don't get me wrong, we need our ego. It's necessary. However, we only need enough ego so we don't step in front of a bus, right? Our ego comes in handy. We do have the ability to awaken from an unsatisfied life to that inspired life of grandeur, of that divine awakening. It is our birthright. It is our gift from life. We were not put on this planet to suffer or to live an unhappy existence. That is not life's plan for us. We're here to know who we are. We're here to love more deeply, to share more fully, to relax into that divine oneness. That's the light and the truth of who we are. This idea of enlightenment transcends religion. It's a universal experience, and everybody's experience is different. Every person comes through it through their own unique path. There is no 1 through 10. Well, there's a 1. You just have to let go of all conscious thought. But we're all kind of going to do that in our own time, in our own way. Nobody can give us that enlightenment. Nobody can just hand it to us or tell us how to do it. It is a personal journey. And that experience transcends all thought. It transcends our mind and our senses. It's an experience beyond words, making it a real challenge to articulate it. It does imply a complete understanding of life and the universe, and awareness of everything that is on a moment-to-moment basis. Enlightenment is what gave Buddha his power. It's what gave Muhammad his great understanding, and it's what gave Jesus the power to perform his miracles. A person who is enlightened remains in the world and is free from attachment to it. We don't let, I didn't mean that. An enlightened person doesn't allow the outside world to shake them up, to shake them at the core. When you get to that point of enlightenment, you realize that life happens, and you understand that whatever's going on out here is just part of what's going on out here. It doesn't shake your world, because you will understand and know that it will change again. Nothing ever stays the same. So we achieve this by learning to quiet the voice in our head, to hear that voice that comes without sound, that voice of God, source, life. We learn to stop thinking about today and tomorrow and yesterday, or what we're going to watch on TV, or where we're going to dinner, what we're going to eat or drink, or, oh my gosh, that dog that's barking, right? It's about coming within. It's about getting still, letting go of all the thoughts and that noise, letting go of those to-do lists, letting go of the idea that you're trying to clear those thoughts in your head. How many of you do that? I'm not going to think, I'm not going to think, I'm not going to think. I do that. To see and to hear what exists beyond our physical selves comes through that silence. And it's about being in that space beyond words, beyond our thoughts, beyond the sights and the sounds. That's where we are. That's who we are. That's where we're pure consciousness. Eternal. Consciousness is the essence of all life. And that is who and what we truly are. Even though we have a tendency to identify who we are with our body, we know that's a temporary house. We know that. Our essence is eternal. Forever and always here. So think about this. Our essence is eternal. When you were a child, you were conscious. When you were an adolescent, you are conscious. As an adult, you are conscious. And as we move into older age, you will continue to be conscious. Only our body changes. Consciousness remains unchanged. It truly is eternal. And it's the indicator of the presence of our soul. That is who you are. Behind your name, behind your body, right? Behind all those things. Now, I believe that our human experience while we're here on this planet is to expand our knowledge, to know thyself, to understand and try and comprehend the answer of that eternal question, who am I? My really good friend Anonymous also said that knowing others is wisdom, knowing yourself is enlightenment. So it's always coming from here. It's always beginning within. And as we become more and more aware of who we are, that oneness with life, we begin to understand that everyone is on an equal plane. And our relationship with God, life source, becomes deeper. It becomes more intimate. We begin to recognize our being, our oneness, our connection with all beings. Our relationships change. Our outlook on life changes, even in the face of challenging experiences. It changes from frustration to, I wonder what's going to be on the other side of this. We take things as they come when we're in that space. And from this understanding on a spiritual level, our lives cannot help but become more joyful and more gratifying and more fulfilling because we've become the observer. I think Eckhart Tolle talks about being the observer. When we get out of the way of our ego, we can learn to truly experience love from the inside out. And that is an intrinsic part of our nature, as well as creation's nature. When we experience love in this way, that's when we're living our lives authentically. Loving yourself gets you to the core, to that source of who you truly are. And it's that beginning of consciously awakening. And in the process of us remembering that we're already enlightened, we'll need to change some of our thinking. We need to change a lot of the truths that we've been taught throughout our entire life. Our conditioning through society and culture many times has misrepresented who we truly are. We aren't taught the type of truth that we share here in traditional schools. We're not encouraged to think outside of the box. We are not our wants and desires. We're so much more than that. Material things are simply objects that come and go. Love, kindness, compassion. Those are the things that stay with us. Those are the things we want to share. That's who we truly are. And that's where we want to keep our focus. So in truth, there are no barriers to prevent anyone from experiencing enlightenment. And as I said, there are so many paths to enlightenment. There are as many paths as there are people in the universe, actually. And if enlightenment is really what we want, absolutely nothing can stop us from that. Nothing will get in our way. There are no special virtues that we have to acquire to be there. We only need to remain present. We don't have the power to control the material world. Otherwise, it would look a lot different, right? However, we do have the power to be absolutely free from that. Being enlightened is the mind and the heart's freedom, which gives rise to that awareness of human experience without the idea of separation, of you versus me. And here's another question. If enlightenment isn't already within us, where on earth would we expect to find it? If we're looking out there, we're back to that idea of separation. So become still, go within, clear your mind as much as you can of all those conscious thoughts. It does take practice. Be patient with yourself. You absolutely can reach that place of quiet, that place where you can reach out and listen and hear God without thinking about anything. It is attainable. Try meditation. When you shut down those external distractions, it becomes easier to reduce those internal distractions. If you're more comfortable with prayer. Use a contemplative prayer, listening for God, not an appeal for help, right? That contemplative prayer requires a quiet mind, a silent mind, an open mind to receive that wisdom and intelligence of life through grace. Now, those are certainly not the only two paths. Whatever path you do choose, the idea is to let go of the mind's business. And you will know when enlightenment surfaces, because the world and everything in it will look different. Guaranteed. You'll understand the idea of oneness, and you'll begin to live that idea of oneness. You'll know that what one person does absolutely affects others. You'll know that I am you and you are me. And you'll have that awareness of who you really are right here and right now. And you'll have that in each and every moment. I'm going to close this morning with a thought from Carlos Castaneda. He taught that a human being only really becomes a full person when they stop being a mere reflection of their culture and master their own mind. I think that's beautiful. We are products of conditioning, so it's much easier said than done. However, the effort to become truly conscious is one of the more noble things that we can do with our time here on this planet while we're here. Thank you so much for being here as I shared this truth as I understand it.